next day, you embark. Vanderkelt's Forest. Your goal is to follow the traces of spiritual energy, as you did before with Mazari, and locate the path to Aztecka. As you recall, when you dealt with Mazari, you had the choice of either destroying his remains and removing whatever tethers was remaining, or helping him move on. And you did so by reuniting his body with the bodies of his wife and daughter. So do with that as you will.
I'm just kind of noting that easing the pain of angry spirits as something that I do on the regular usually does not not usually, but does not always involve having to beat them into fucking submission before I throw them back into where they need to be. And so just gonna throw it out there, player to DM, that my style as a healer is to try to avoid combat at all costs, especially since I have no spirit companion. Yeah. So if you throw like heavy combat scenarios at me, it probably isn't going to go very well. I'm just throwing it out there. That is kind of Karus's take on the situations, that he's here to heal the forest, not beat it into submission and make it, bend it to his will. That's not his shtick. Okay,
yeah, I can respect that, but you do you, man.
Yeah.
The challenges.
I'm still gonna make you fight things, and if you die, that's totally your fault. That's what that means.
That sounded like a very convoluted mercy, please, and mercy.
No, it's not. It's not a mercy. It's not a mercy at all. I'm just letting you know that's my playstyle. So I don't want you to be frustrated if, in an attempt to try and make me fight, I decide not to fight. I'm just giving you a heads up on that.
I won't be frustrated. Don't worry. Don't worry about
it. Okay. Sounds good.
Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. As the party returns to Vanderkelt Forest, you feel a sudden chill, as if hundreds of eyes are looking upon you with murderous intent. However,
Freeze for a second. Damien is not with us, right?
Damien stayed behind.
Okay, good. And it's just me. It's me and Xander and Burlo. That's it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to double check. Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
However, in all directions, all you see are empty trees. With each solemn minute of marching, the vegetation becomes closer, gradually choking off the path as the mist swells around you, further blocking your range of vision. You must force your way through the forest and find your way towards Aztecka's body. You can attempt to bushwhack. You can attempt to sense the spiritual energy, or use your local knowledge, or
I will attempt to sense the spiritual energy before I do anything else. I am not a druid, so I don't care nearly as much about the natural state of things in the forest as I do about the spiritual state of things in the forest. Two very different things, very different outlooks. So I will attempt to sense the natural state of things.
So Arcana.
Arcana. Okay, then I will do an Arcana check. I want to see if there are any spirits in the nearby area. 23.
23. All right. So this time, with less of the clutter and rabble of the city folk and their business, you can hear better. You shut off those senses, however, and attempt to seek out spiritual energy. Somewhere southeast, you're hearing the voices, "Come to me, my children." Similar voice as to what you heard inside the House of Healing when the children were dying.
Interesting.
So you recall that inside of each of these, as they were dying, was a swarm of beetles that was threatening to come out. It seems like after the spiritual phenomenon has taken enough of a toll, it begins to manifest in the real world, and something horrific happens, but thankfully you avoided that. Something gives, something beckons to these creatures and controls them.
Is it possible for me to determine what that terrible thing is without actually having to have experienced it for myself?
You haven't asked anybody, but you haven't seen it. You saw what was about to happen, but you never actually saw what actually did happen. You can ask.
Okay, yeah, and my question is, would I be able to figure that out without asking anybody? Or if not, then don't worry about it.
You saw something was struggling to burst out. Basically...
Okay, that's like some alien level chest burster shit. Okay. Okay, that's cool. I'd rather not have to witness that if I don't have to. Let's do it.
You have the choice of bushwhacking, using the natural landmarks to find your way, using local history, or just searching with your eyes and ears.
So searching with I was able to sense. I still don't know where I'm supposed to go. What I'm supposed to do.
No, you traverse further. I said southeast. You're following the
Okay,
path,
so
and you're following the voice.
all right. I want to do a nature check to see if I can figure out if there's a particular path that looks like it's been weathered or worn in some way that I might be able to follow. Is if I can find some tracks that looks like maybe perhaps Smurf Nebly have been there in the past, or if even primal magics have somehow been used to alter this landscape.
Go ahead.
I do a nature check for that.
Nature check.
All right, my nature's fucking awesome. So, boom. I crit failed, but I still got a 22.
Oh, excellent.
Can I?
All right. It's
okay.
All right. Nature medium. All right. So, you recall upon the map of the plateau that the river would give you a less crowded area to traverse. So you cut down on some of your time.
Cool.
And around noonish, you arrive at a clearing. In the distance, there appears to be some sort of house-like object. Let me take you to the path. So it's not nighttime.
Dark as fuck.
It's not nighttime, but there is a very suffocating mist. So this is the closest analog I can get to that.
It's cool.
When you left, you were each given a lamp, which you could carry on your person. It emits a radius of 30 feet of light, the last 15 feet of which are kind of dim, but you at least can still see. What do you do?
That's so odd that somehow the lamps permeate the mist, but the sunlight does not.
I'm trying to. I can't emulate the mist. There's no mist.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna hold a lamp for myself.
All right. So go ahead and act as you will.
I would like to step forward with my allies close behind, and I want to attempt to survey the area before me. I will move here with my lamp in tow.
Go ahead and do a perception check.
I perceive what I attempt to see before me. My perception is exceptional. I roll 24.
There is a corpse of some sort of ranger-like fellow. You hear Berlo and Xander. Berlo says aloud, "Oh, so that's what happened to poor Akul."
Akul?
Akul is the name of a ranger from that area. Oh, so first, the air smells of death and corruption. You pass by this desiccated corpse, and upon closer inspection, you see that the body of this ranger has been torn apart by some unknown creature. There are puncture marks deep in the bone in the shape of two fang-like teeth all over the body. Whatever equipment they had on their person has either been picked off or rotted away through the passage of time.
Passage of time? So this guy's been dead for a while.
Yeah, probably a few months. Anyway, so that's what happened to the ranger was named Akul, and this is the area in which he probably ranged, but at some point his ranging days were cut short. You notice several scurrying tiny footsteps, and they lead you towards a skittering swarm. There's a swarm of ravenous rats.
Oh my me!
Staring you down. Roll for initiative.
Shit balls! My initiative is not great because I am not dexterous. I am wise, but not dexterous. My initiative is as thus. Okay. I think I'll be okay. I should be able to handle a bunch of rats.
Rollo will be first to act. So you notice the rats, and you hold up your lantern to them, and the others turn their attention to it and get ready to help you.
Okie doke.
Below rushes forward. Let's see.
I shout out as he's rushing. I'm not stopping his action. I'm just shouting at as he rushes in. It says, "Be careful. There were many of them and few of us."
He's like, what's a couple of rats?
Do not underestimate them. We are in a forest of spirits.
He's like, to hell with these creatures.
The last time we underestimated somebody, he shot my apprentice in the fucking chest.
They will die by the hands of my spear like any other creature. He rushes forward with a charge and stabs at the massive creatures with the tip of his spear.
Alright.
Alright.
That's not bad. It's pretty good.
Alright, so he hits the creature, and the spear stabs through one of the creatures. However, you notice that it does not seem to phase the swarm as a whole. They resist, and several more of them continue to scurry around. Alright, so the rat swarm will first attempt to envelop him. It rushes under his legs and holds him within its range. It then strikes at him with a flurry of teeth. They start to roll up his body, attempting to bite at him at all directions.
Seeing the rats lunge at my ally, I reach back into my rope satchel or rope belt and pull out my totem of the Thunder's Keeper. But I'm going to activate its daily power. An enemy hits your companion, a spirit companion, or an ally within 5 squares of me with a melee attack. The triggering enemy takes thunder damage equal to my wisdom modifier, and in addition, push it a number of squares equal to the totem's inhabitant's bonus, which is 2. Takes 12 damage, and I push it 2 squares.
Alright, so you notice that certain creatures within the swarm, they take the lightning damage, and they die, and they stop moving, and they're flung back. The swarm as a whole does not move.
I don't deal with swarms often. This is really fascinating. I am both surprised and somewhat impressed by the tenacity of these rats. Yeah. Did I hit the ones that hit him? Because fuck those ones.
Yeah, sure. The ones that are on his body, the ones that are on his body and biting him, and he's trying to pull them off. You strike them off, and they fly off of his.
Fuck those ones. Fuck those rats, guys. I got you, Burlo. I got you.
Go ahead, Karus.
Alrighty, so I'm going to use Haunting Spirits. Okay, I don't need my spirit companion for this. It's something I cast myself. This is range 10, and it's against the enemy's willpower. Mm-hmm. Okay, Haunting Spirits. In an attempt to try and coerce the rats into doing my bidding somewhat, I attempt to try to terrify them by giving them implanting images of sheer terror that would cause them to reel in pain. This will do psychic damage, and it's against the willpower. I crit damage. I will do a total of 23 damage. I will have Xander gain combat advantage against the swarm.
And Xander becomes enraged by Burlo being attacked, as well as hearing your encouraging blast of energy.
Or can I do a nature check to try and learn more about this strange swarm of rats? I want to learn more about their stats and things like that.
Yes, you
can. With a nature check.
Go ahead, do a nature check.
Boom. Plus mucho equals 36.
Okay, so the nature of swarms, as you recall, is that because swarms are not single units, they tend to have a great resilience to being pushed as a whole, if not at all. So trying to move an entire swarm is nigh on impossible. Also, individual attacks will be less effective, as you're just killing 1 or 2 creatures at a time, which would take a long time depending on the size of the swarm. In this case, so larger area of effect attacks will do more damage.
Well, that's unfortunate because I don't have a lot of those unless I summon spirits to help me.
These rats, they are behaving rather strangely. Rats are, they will attack when they're cornered. They are not currently being cornered. They would just flee usually. So something is frenzying them.
Interesting. With my nature check, can I determine what direction in the source of this energy is coming from?
Not with your nature check. And
I'll have to do a different check for that?
Yes. and on your next turn
Okay.
because you've just done your.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Okay, I end my turn with that.
Excellent. Good job. All right, on Xander's turn, he's inspired by your display of martial might, and
I really just kind of waved my hands and things happened. But yeah, by all means, martial might.
he's been. Oh yeah, you're right. You threw down the lightning, so I guess. Yeah, I'll just say he's impressed though. You're holding your own pretty well.
I'm protecting Berlot is what I'm doing.
Okay.
So if he can respect that, then I'm cool.
He drops his visor and charges in. Great spear held aloft. And when he charges,
For some reason I thought he had a crossbow. I think that was maybe Berlot with a crossbow.
okay, here's the thing. I like Xander's character design, so I wanted to use him, which is funny because he's actually using a longsword, and I like Berlot's for his character, but he's using a spear. So I'm telling you that this guy is using the spear, while this guy is using the longsword. It's a fucking convoluted mess, but I just like their character design so much that I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna work with it.
I can use my imagination. I have the imaginative capacity to switch those items on those characters.
You don't have imagination. You've gone through the American school system. We've beaten that shit out of you.
I nearly dropped out. Thank you very much.
All right. So
the American school system has failed me dramatically.
that's a discussion for a different podcast. Anyway, right. Debt, dungeons, and debt. Anyway, so this time,
Dungeons
Xander,
and debt. Oh god, too real.
I know, right? The struggle. So Xander attempts to back up his ally with a thunderous strike.
Yeah.
Brings down his spear.
Get him, Xander.
Great speed.
Fuck him up.
Roll a 1.
Get him, Xander.
Alright. It's a miss. The rats run up along his spear and start to turn on him as well.
Damn it, Xander, you had one job.
Sorry, my
I'm so disappointed in you, Xander. I mean, how do you miss when you stab into a swarm? How?
Actually,
How do you miss that?
How
That's
does
like
How does a shark miss grabbing those fish that swim around? They do that all the
Well,
time.
I'm just saying it's like scooping into a barrel of rice and getting nothing.
Okay.
Shame on you, Xander. I believed in you.
Anyway, since Berlot is within the rat swarm, they will attack him first before he makes his turn.
Better them than me. Just saying.
Whoops, I put the wrong thing.
I can keep them alive forever. Once they start attacking me, things get a little complicated.
They start to nibble away at him, and he's becoming fatigued as they're just swarming all along his body.
If only Kaiba were here, none of these things would be a problem. But no, you had to take him away from me.
Oh, I'm sorry, can't handle a curveball? Then don't fight in the big leagues.
I'm just saying it'd be a hell of a lot easier if I were playing T-ball right now than playing fucking baseball. Just throw it out there.
Where's
Kaiba is my T stand.
Where's the fun without the pain? But anyway, Berlot will attempt a shifting retreat.
Good idea, Berlo. Way to think ahead and get away from the baddies.
Yeah. As he does, he throws the lantern down in fear and attempts to hurt them with it.
I would say that's a good idea, but there's also cons to that action, so...
Nope. It was
fair trade.
It was a bad idea.
Okay, that was a terrible idea. Was that Berlo that did that?
Yes, Berlo.
I'm not a wizard, so I can't do anything with that, unfortunately.
Alright. So, because he's just so confused, he accidentally lights a little bit of himself on fire, as well as... You know,
okay, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of expected this from Xander because he should because Xander was drinking heavily the day before, so I would expect that from Xander, but not from you, Berlo. I expected better from you.
This guy's not that. He has his problems too, but. All right. Anyway.
I am disappointed.
All right. So Berlo accidentally douses himself with a little bit of lighter fluid, and.
This is not how you get lit, Berlo.
Oh, curse these creatures! He loses his torch. The rat swarm will now attack. You've been the one to damage it, so it turns to you.
Of course it does.
4, 5. Enters your square, and it will attack you.
Okie doke. Oh, did it crit fail?
It did crit fail.
It crit fail. Wonderful.
It triggers a... Oh, wait. Hang on, it's still my turn. All right, it triggers an attack of opportunity, or you can shift to get out of the way. You notice that when you're inside of its radius, when you're like inside the actual square, it can attack you at the beginning of your turn as a free action. It does that to Berlo, so you can either shift or you can. I'll give you a free attack. Which one do you choose?
Okay. I'm going to get out of the range.
All right. So you take a shift. Shift to one square of your choice. All right, and it snaps at air. The torch goes with you. You're fine. All right.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So that on its turn, its end, and now it is your turn. And because you are no longer in its circle, it does not get a free attack on you. Go ahead.
Okay. Am I adjacent to it now?
Yes, you can attack it.
Okay. So it's actually considered large. It's actually taking up these 4 squares here. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Please.
I'm gonna shift over this way behind the body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to attack it.
All right. Go for it.
I'm going to use my haunting spirits again.
Yes.
To try and attack it. And this will be that much. 35 versus its willpower.
That is a hit. Deal damage.
Until the end of my next turn, the target grants combat advantage to an ally of my choice. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be 26 plus that much. 17 damage.
17 damage. Well done. Sorry, let me again. Several more of the rats seize in psychic pain and then shrivel to death, but they are still, as a swarm, pretty large. You've dealt a decent amount of damage to them, but they are still not bloody. Direct attacks kill individuals, so it's not doing as much damage as you think.
Yes, I am aware that it is not. Okay. As a minor action, I want to do a perception check on them to see how large the swarm is. Like, basically, I want to determine how many more of them there are, and if I could in any way, shape, or form figure out how much more damage used to be done in order to disperse them.
You can't tell that, but go ahead to your perception.
I think that's my perception. It's not 189 bonus. I do not have a perception of 189.
Oh, dude, I thought you were cool with that. I'm just kidding.
Well, 38 is pretty good too. I think having a perception of 38 is pretty legit.
I don't know, man. A cooler person would have nat 20 right there. I'm just kidding, dude. Every little thing I do, never see it. Okay. All right. So you attempt to discern how many of these creatures there still are. There's dozens of them. They kind of jumble over each other as they swarm towards you. You do notice something very peculiar, though. There is this strange aura about these creatures, almost like as if the air around them, in a like a heat wave, the air around them is distorted. You notice that it's pulsating outwards, like some sort of signal trying to reach a conduit. Some sort of evil is giving speed to these creatures and setting their will against you. And it's not, and it's definitely magical. Well, that's kind of a given. Everything in this world is magical, but it's like super magical, if you get my drift. You can follow up with an Arcana check.
Yes, I will. I shall. My Arcana is not particularly exceptional, but it is definitely above average. 26!
26. All right, so you notice that these creatures, again, they give off some sort of aura, and this aura seems to be broadcasting some sort of signal, as if something should be receiving it and sending back some sort of message to control these creatures' will. You see a shimmer within the tree line, somewhere in the branches, like as if there is a humanoid shape that glistens in the surrounding torchlight.
Oh, I want to give combat advantage to Xander again.
All right.
As much as I want to give it to Burlo, he seems like his hands are kind of full right now, so I'm gonna give it to Xander again.
All right.
I turn to my allies and I say, the swarm is being controlled. I will try to find its source. Keep it busy.
It's like, what do you think we've been trying to do?
Burning yourself alive with lanterns.
Low blow. I was like, I'd like to see you try fighting it. All right.
I have been. You just can't see it because I'm attacking them
fighting
psychically.
it. Noodle arms, Xander. Xander attacks the swarm, this time hitting it, and his great spear pierces the swarm, dealing some damage. All right.
Yeah, you go, Xander. 2 for you, Xander.
Okay, this time he marks it, and he says, stay right there. Don't move.
Good. Thank God he's a soldier.
Burlo
Really needed a tank in our party.
puts the fire out and rushes. He puts the fire on himself out last turn, and he rushes in to provide assistance.
Good man, Burlo. Good man.
Says, "For Juvelin!" he screams as he rushes forward, sword held aloft.
I mean, I appreciate your patriotism towards your town, but I don't think the rats particularly care where you're from. I mean, just think about that. Like, he's like, "For Juvelin!" stabs rat.
Oh, actually, if you ever read the Game of Thrones novels, that actually happens a lot. They scream the name of where they're from, so people run into battle going like, "Winterfell!"
It makes sense. It makes sense when you're attacking other enemies that could understand what you're trying to say, so you understand where you're coming from, but they're rats.
No,
so
it's called
it's kind of lost on them.
It's a key-eye. Who cares if they hear you?
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay.
Okay, you made your point. I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so he stabs into the swarm, skewers a couple, flicks them off the end of his sword. And
Yeah,
they
kebab later.
continue coming at you, though.
Me? One swarm is not enough for me to use my full power. I will use my full power if the situation grows dire.
All right, the rats scuffle forward once more.
I imagine it's kind of like the scene from The Mummy when the beetles go over the
Yes.
dude.
All right, so this time, as they move away, Xander activates his ability now that he has marked them, and out from the butt end of his spear, a bolt of lightning flies out, strikes the ground, and this thunderous clap rings out.
Baboom, motherfucker.
Okay, a thunderclap rings out, almost deafening you, but he positioned it so that it wouldn't hurt you. And this time, they take full damage. Several of them scurry away in pain. Some of them writhe as their ears start to bleed.
Gross, but awesome.
Yep. And they keep coming for you, though. They attack once more, trying to nibble away at you. All right, so they swarm over your body and start to bite you in every direction. Everywhere that's exposed, they find a way and sink their incisors into you. Take 19 damage.
Oh! Oh, God.
6 damage ongoing. You start to bleed from these.
6 damage ongoing. Interesting. Is this save ends?
Save ends, yes.
So I take 19 damage, you said?
No, just the 6 damage at the beginning of your turn when you...
No, I took 19 from the initial attack.
19, yes, 19. And then the additional 6 when you begin your turn. So at the beginning of your turn, take another 6, and go ahead.
Okay. And it's my turn now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm at that much HP. Okay. Just making sure how much HP I got.
So,
Ow! That hurt.
So, you notice that as the creatures move, the same shimmery figure that you saw up in this tree shifts as well as almost like synchronizing with the steps of the swarm. Whatever's up there is controlling these creatures.
Okay. How far? Can I try to determine the exact location of this humanoid figure?
At the base of where the tree trunks split apart, basically right here, just about 10 feet up.
How far away is that, square and or feet wise, is that from me?
20. You are 20 feet away from it.
20 feet away. I want to use my staff. I shift my I take my spear and I flip it around to the other side, which is the staff side.
Yes.
And I use my force lyre, which is range 5, so I have 25 squares.
Mm-hmm.
This is against the enemy's willpower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is I have to hit him first before I do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
29 versus willpower.
Do you
Cool.
deal damage?
I do damage, yes.
Go ahead. So
there's an additional effect. I slide the target 3 squares.
all right.
So I wanna pull them off the tree and down towards us, right, if possible, there, so that they may be in between Burlo and Xander.
All right. If your attack does damage, that's all you needed to do. So.
Oh, okay. So that's what I'm gonna do.
So you grasp onto this creature with your telekinetic energy, and you fling it to the ground at great speed. And for a moment,
do 19 damage.
For a moment, it becomes corporeal, and you can see it with your eyes. It's a ghost in the shape of a small Sverdnebli, holding a Kopesh, and in her other hand, it's been grossly modified into this muscular mass of pulsating veins and sinew. When she strikes into the ground, she dissipates. And the swarm shrieks. As it shrieks, you notice that the creatures become frenzied, but not directed. They're fleeing, and they're scared. They are instantly taken below bloodied health.
Okay,
The
with
aura
that,
around these creatures seemingly dissipates. You don't see that same distortion anymore. It seemingly disappears.
Okay, is it possible for me to shift on top of this rock here? I want to shift. Oops, sorry. I want to shift onto these rocks to see if I can get away from the scurrying rats.
It's difficult terrain. Can you shift on difficult terrain?
I'm not sure actually.
Let's move on. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I quickly leap onto the stone boulder jutting out of the ground in an attempt to try and avoid the scurrying rats below my feet, leaving my allies to fend for themselves because they'll be fine.
Xander and Below descend upon it. They start to stomp at the creatures. You notice, though, that as they're wading into the swarm, after what you had just done, the rats are not attacking them. The rats look terrified, and they just start hacking away. A couple of rats fall.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I call out to them, and I say, "Leave them be. They are no longer under the control of their master."
It's like, how do you know that? They just tried to kill us.
Yes, they were under the influence of a magical being. I found this ghost and was able to dispel her for the time being. These rats are no longer under their control. Let them be. They will not hurt you. Just let them be.
Diplomacy.
My diplomacy is not great, but that's okay, because I will convince my allies. 9. Alright. Do whatever you want to do, guys. I don't care.
Better safe than sorry. As the rats start to scurry away, on their turn they flee, but Xander and Berlo just basically start stomping away at any ones they find until the swarm is entirely defeated.
I'm not particularly upset by this because I'm not a druid, so whatever.
That's fine. So, congratulations. You have dealt with your first swarm and your first encounter with Aztecka, the swarm druid.
Yeah!
So, that being said, what do you do next?
I am perturbed yet intrigued by the appearance of this ghost, and I want to immediately approach the area in which she planted her hand into the ground to disappear and see if I can try to discern any kind of magical traces that may have been left behind by her in an attempt to track her down. I want to see if I can connect to the spirit to find out where she went.
All right. Well, she's gone, and she wasn't gone because she disappeared. When you damaged her, she was banished. She basically, when she hit the ground, she poofed. So what you did there was you dispelled the aspect of her, and that aspect was what was controlling these swarms. The swarms emit some sort of radius in which they require to be a distance away from her in order for her to control them.
Is it possible for me to determine what this radius is?
Yes. Basically, now that you know what you're looking for, you will know next time if you encounter another one.
Okay, I begin to sniff the air ferociously, taking in the scents and magical residue in the air as I glean this information from our encounter, as I watch my allies go about their business, hopefully in an attempt to heal themselves, because I'm not in any position to want to do that for them. I am busy doing my thing.
Go ahead. The party takes their short rest, and they heal up best they can. You're now 1 lantern short. What do you do?
I want to look around and to see if I can try and track her. What kind of check would I have to make to track the spiritual residue that she left behind, or the magic of the swarm that we had encountered?
Oh, that would be another Arcana. All right, from where you are, it feels like it's still trailing in this direction.
Okay. I tell my allies who are resting, I say, gather your strength and finish your food. We move east when we are ready.
All right, lead the way, shaman.
I grab my lantern with gusto, take a large breath as I gather my strength and move eastward, taking a large whiff of the air in an attempt to try and catch the scent of the magical residue that surrounds us and move eastward.
All right, you arrive at what appears to be some sort of ranger outpost. It's probably where Akul lived before his untimely demise. The inside seems empty.
Can I go inside?
Yeah, go ahead. Do a perception when you're inside. So it appears that Akul has left some useful equipment by his desk and strewn about papers, equipment, some climbing gear, rope, pitons, crampons, and a climbing axe. They'll give you, when equipped, a +2 to climb, basically. You also find a replacement oil lamp that seems to have been filled but wasn't being used. There's also a steel flask of lantern oil.
I take the flask of lantern oil and I take the lantern. I keep the flask oil. Okay, I keep the flask. I give the lantern, which is filled. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I give it to Burlo and I fill it and I light it and I give it to him and he says, "Be careful with this."
He still has a bit of a scuffed up beard. He pats it away. The skin underneath is raw, but he'll be fine. He says, "Never gonna let me hear the end of that, right?"
It's like that would be the first of a growing list of things I will never forgive you for.
He just groans and shakes his head.
All right, I turn and I say, "Gather up his things. He is no longer in need of them.
All right.
We will need them for our journey ahead." So I ask my allies to gather all of the climbing gear, all of the additional lantern things, any kind of food, ration, supplies. I want to gather all of those things for ourselves.
Whatever rations were there, they're already gone. What you do find, though, is a journal that marks several of the key locations alongside the map of Carrotfell Plateau, and basically he has circled Lord Lake Shrine. That would basically be where you want to find Aztecka. So you know that you are going in the right direction as of now.
All right, so I turn to them and I say, "We are going to Lord Lake Shrine. Do either of you know of this place?"
Yes, it sounds like during the battles, none of us were there to defeat Aztecka, but supposedly she was set on fire, and last time we saw her, she was rushing into the waters. We assume she died in the lake.
Just because the mortal body has been defeated does not mean the spirit is at ease. This is what we are dealing with now, men. Understand that we are no longer dealing with mortal creatures.
No, those rats seem pretty mortal to me. They
were under the control of an angry spirit. We make our way to Lord Lake Village, or Lord Lake Shrine? Lord Lake Shrine, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, we make our way to Lord Lake Shrine. I believe this is where we will find the spirit, the angry spirit of Aztecka.
So they agree. In the last bit of the nearly illegible scribbles, it seems like Akul, in his solitude, over time became a little unwound. And it says, "Sometimes I can see her in the mist, among the shadows of her beasts." Those eyes, those hateful eyes. Fire should reveal the true nature of it. Nothing can escape the flames.
Alright, I am able to easily discern that flames or fire is probably her weakness. And that I upon learning this information, I grip my lantern and my flask of oil tightly. And I turn back to my allies and I say to them, our lanterns, the lanterns we hold in our hands, may be the key to our victory. Treasure them, for we will need them in the incoming battle.
Very well. Something's coming, Burlo says. Peering outside again, you hear more skittering in the nearby building. More creatures are coming. Roll for initiative again.
Bollocks! Alright. I don't even see them.
Yeah, you won't. Yeah, it's because you're no line of sight. Where you are right now, you can hear them skittering. Basically, Burlo is the one who told you they were coming.
Okay. I'm just gonna shout out whenever they do this. I think they'll do it, but I shout out to them and says, "In the house now!"
Yes.
I want to slam the door shut, and lock it as soon as the last ally comes inside. So that's my triggered action is that when my last ally comes inside with their lantern, I want to close the door.
That's fine. All right. So the others, they swarm in. They rush in to... swarm is a bad word in this current situation. All right. And they enter the door, and as you do, you shut it behind you. It's like, all right, now we're inside. What was your plan?
My plan is to pinpoint the location of Aztecka. She is controlling the swarm from somewhere nearby. If I can pinpoint where she is, we may be able to take her out. In doing so, disperse these swarms.
All right.
You're the let's see who. It's Burlo who's the expert marksman, right? Who's the marksman out of our group?
Burlo is better at using a crossbow. Xander is a great spear expert, and he has he has electrical abilities.
Okay, I turn to Xander and I say, Xander, board up the windows. Burlo, get your crossbow ready. You're going to be the one to take the shot. I'll find her for you, and you shoot her down.
Understood, he says. Xander plants his great spear and begins to, board up the crevices that best he can. Basically, any openings that would allow the creatures to break through, he's sealing up with whatever remaining pieces of timber are lying around. So the rat swarm gets to act first, though, so let me... All right, so this is me using it just to kind of they're not on you, they're just getting in, basically, okay? This is just to show that they're scurrying around the house trying to find weak spots, and they will eventually find a way through because he can't board up everything. But
that makes sense.
Xander buys you a turn, and they seem to be still trying to find a spot. Burlo switches to his crossbow and pulls back a bolt. He's like, "All right, where is she?"
All right, I want to do an Arcana check to try and find out where she is. I know the radius of her range, right?
Yes.
She has to be close somewhere nearby.
Yes.
There it is! I see their auras now.
All right, so there you go. There are two swarms now. They both emit that similar type of radius. You can notice that through the slits in the boarded up windows.
Okay.
Go ahead and do your Arcana or Perception.
Okay, I'm going to do Arcana to try and pinpoint exactly where she is. I'm going to use Speak with the Spirits. I'm going to try and attempt to increase my abilities with them. Now, 33.
33. All right, so you peer outside. You're trying to trace where both of the auras overlap because basically Aztecka would have to be a certain range from both of them in order to control them. Their auras overlap in this region. Do you see it? Okay.
I do. With a weird ass lighting situation that's inside of the house, yeah, I do see it.
Yeah, line of sight matters too. So make a decision. Where do you fire?
Okay. I point to. I want to attempt to try because my range. Because I can pinpoint this exactly. I'm going to use haunting spirits. To try and attack her myself.
Yeah, go
which
ahead.
is a range 10. Against her willpower. Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to try and attack her myself first, and then if I miss.
Designate the square you have to attack.
Are there 4 squares there?
I've highlighted 4, but from your point of view, you can only see these 3 with your line of sight.
1, 2. All right, I'm gonna attack the square I can see the best.
Go for it.
Okay. This is going to be against her willpower. This will be 33 versus her willpower.
Guess what you did? You picked the right square.
Yeah! Oh, get fucked. Oh, hell yes.
All right.
Awesome.
You find the aspect of Aztecka. You aim your. Go ahead and do your attack. How do you dissipate her?
Okay, so upon pinpointing the location of her spirits, and because I asked the spirits, here's how I imagine it happening. I was like, spirits, I need you to help me find this other spirit. And then a bunch of the other spirits in the forest just start giant pointing arrows. Just start pointing their fingers and like, she's right there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, thanks. So what I do is I conjure or I call upon these same spirits who have helped me locate her to attack her as I begin to bring up the memories of the flames as I conjure a flaming spirit to lunge at the spirit and basically her worst fear in a spirit conjured form and attack her and do damage.
All right, so the flames envelop her ghostly form and she dissipates. After you've cut off the head, the rats lose their leader and they begin to scurry away once again in fear, no longer antagonizing you.
Okay, so again, I just want to, for safety purposes, I tell Xander to keep up the boarding process just in case the rats try to still get in anyway. So hopefully if they just scurry away, they'll be away and hopefully they don't get inside and hurt us. But that is the ideal situation here.
Yeah, after a bit of time, Xander's like, all right, we're out of wood.
I listen with my passive perception of a lot. Do I hear them still, the rats?
No, they've fled as soon as their head was cut.
So it says, I was able to pinpoint Aztecka, the spirit, and was able to disperse her once again. In doing so, she's lost control over the swarm of rats, and they should be gone. I don't hear them any longer. We should be safe to leave.
All right. I'm not much for staying here. Xander leads the charge. He kind of smashes through the door after being impatient. I don't like enclosed spaces, and he starts to march off.
I start after him, but I simply sigh and shake my head, and I grab. Did he take his lantern with him?
Yeah, he took his lantern. Berlo was the one who got the new lantern.
Okay, I just want to double check, make sure everyone's got their lantern with them. That's like super important.
All right.
All right, and I will take my lantern with me as well. I feel like I totally rocked that encounter. Minimal damage, minimal casualties, maximum damage.